Hello everybody, thank you so much for coming and joining us on this channel. I love the opportunity to share with you inspiring Singaporeans and people who I find to be amazing that we have here in our beautiful country. And if you like seeing these videos and you want to see more of them, please hit subscribe and please like it. Feel free to share it with your friends and your family. And I will bring you as much wonderful content with lovely, amazing people as I can. Today I am with Jeremy Tong, who I just learnt about very, very recently, but immediately I found him to be very inspiring. Jeremy has summited Mount Everest, one of my big dreams that I may never ever get to do. But we will get into this conversation and hopefully we get to know Jeremy and be inspired by him and his story. So, Jeremy, first of all, thank you so much for coming and spending time with me this morning. I'm just, I said to you just now, I was geeking out a bit last night to my wife before we went to bed, and it's like, I can't believe I'm actually going to get to meet someone who's summited Mount Everest. Yeah, I mean, the first thing for me was, like, I just want to open up with is, tell me a bit about yourself, when you did Everest, and a bit about the experience.
I'm Jeremy, Singaporean, and I've been climbing for many years now, since when I was 14 years old. And I work as a teacher in United World College, Southeast Asia, and I run my own business, doing expeditions, mountain expeditions on the side as well. And it's always been my dream to climb Everest. When I was 14, I climbed Mount Ophir in Malaysia, and then that was with the National Cadet Corps, like the uniform group. And then the next year, I got a chance with my school to climb Mount Kinabalu when I was 15, and I was like inspired by myself. Like I was like I could do it. I climbed to the summit and I saw that that beautiful sunrise, and then the sea of clouds, and then you see like the South China Sea, and I was like, wow, this is like amazing. And ever since then I got hooked, and I've been climbing ever since, and it's just been peak after peak, 4,000 meters to 5,000, and then slowly reaching 6,000. That was a very hard period, trying to reach 6,000 meters to summit 6,000, and then finally going to 7K, and then saying, okay, this is it. I think my time is ready. I'm ready for Everest. I'm going to put in the money and the commitment to climb Everest. And in 2017, I made my first attempt to climb Everest, but no summit. And then I went back again.
150 meters short, is that right?
That's right, yeah. So, what done your research. So basically I got a bit of hypothermia. I started shivering, and I just for the fear of, not coming down, and, like if anything happens, I better be sure what I'm doing. So I decided that just 150 meters at the south summit, below the summit, I decided I had to turn around. Yeah, so that was a very hard decision to make.
Big call.
It was a big call, yeah. Like my Sherpa was like extremely disappointed. He's like, hey, it's just like 150, it's just there. And I was like, yeah, I know, but I don't want to lose my life. I don't want to make you suffer as well. I think we should head back.
Wow.
Yeah.
And so when you just made that decision to come down, did you know that you were going to come back, or did you think that might have been it?
At that point, when I turned around, I was devastated. I was like, I put in so much effort, like, 5 years planning, then like 2 years to get the funding, and then like 1 year to train for it, like really hard. So at that point, I was like, okay, I think this is it. I was just gonna go down first. And then as I was going down, and I was at Camp 2, I started recollecting my thoughts, and I was thinking to myself, like, I think there might be a chance that I might want to come back, because this is not done. Like, I want to come back and complete my dream, and this is my dream. Do
you know, for me, listening to you there, I get it. Like, I did Kilimanjaro in 2018, and we had adverse weather and didn't make it to the top.
That's right.
And I remember at the time talking to different people, and they all talked about summit fever. When you're so close, you forget about what's safe and what's healthy, and you just go for it. And actually, to hear that you made that call yourself so close to the top, to me, that takes more courage to turn around than to carry on. Was that hard to deal with when you came down from the mountain?
Yeah, because on that trip itself, we were a team of 3 of us. We were a team from Singapore, and we had, it was a multiracial team trying to represent Singapore, and like the aim was to show that diversity, can actually be very strong.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we had like a professor who was my lecturer in Nanyang Technological University, Dr. Sarah, and then we had Yushrina, who was a teacher who used to also was a graduate of NTU, and I was a sports science graduate. So we formed this team, and we wanted to show to Singaporeans that we could, show the strength of diversity. And then Yushrina submitted, and she came down. Sorry, so when I was coming down, I was ahead of her, and when she looked at me, she was coming up, and she was like, "Hey, you submitted?" And I'm like, "No, I'm going down." I'm like, I'm finished. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, and then Dr. Sarah didn't attempt because he had a bit of frostbite on his fingers. So so it was definitely very disappointing. Yeah, like I think everybody in Singapore wanted me to summit, and there was a lot of pressure, from the sponsors, my own sponsors. I had like a couple of sponsors, like 4 or 5 sponsors, and yeah, definitely there was a lot of pressure, and yeah, it was very hard to make the decision for sure.
I guess especially as you have that sense of purpose.
Yes.
When I did Kili, I was climbing for Alzheimer's Society. Nice. I've got an auntie with Alzheimer's, and I've got there was a student of mine who'd shared this incredible story about her grandfather, and it really gave me the courage to do it. And so I was carrying her picture of her and her grandfather, and I said to her that I'd get to the top and take a photo and everything. And so there's that pressure, that external pressure as well. And I definitely, maybe similar to you, I felt disappointed coming down, but I definitely felt a sense of that I'm going to do this one day. It's going to come.
That's right.
So, man, I was just totally inspired by that. I want to take it a step back first. You grew up in the HDBs, and in a country where, Bukit Timah is not much of a mountain, right?
Yeah, it's the biggest one here.
Right.
Yeah, it's a hill.
Yeah. And I guess in my mind, like a kid in the teens going, right, this is my dream, this is what I want to do. How was that received by your friends, your family? Did people encourage you, or were there a lot of doubters along the way?
Yeah, so it helped that I started climbing when I was from a young age. So like people knew that I was like into this kind of thing, and my diploma was also like outdoor and adventure.
Right.
So I was really in that direction of I want to do this kind. I want to do kayaking. I want to climb mountains and stuff like that. So in that sense, people knew about that. When I graduated in 2016 from university, I actually didn't really tell anybody of this plan, because I was making plans for climb Everest. I went to climb 7,000 meter peaks in Central Asia, and so people were like, "Why is he climbing so much?" My parents were like, "Jeremy's always going out, during the holidays, off he goes." So at a point when I didn't really tell my parents that I was going to go. I was like, okay, I'm just going to make plans. I had the fundraising for the charity for cancer, and then I had the logos created, the Facebook page, everything, and then they were like, okay, I think this is getting a bit serious. So then they asked me, what's going on? And I said, oh, I'm going to climb Everest. And then they said, oh, okay. So then I think in that sense, my parents started being a bit concerned. They asked me questions, and I just filled them in with like the facts, the details, and what my plan was. And I guess they generally took it quite positively, because they know I've been doing this for many years. My friends definitely was very supportive, and my ex-girlfriend, who's now my wife, yeah, she's also quite supportive, because she's also a climber.
Okay.
So I think the general vibe from most of my friends, because we're all in the adventure scene, they're all like, okay, go for it, do your best, do what you can, we'll help you out. Yeah.
Having all your friends in that scene, do you think that that's a significant part in your ability to be able to do this? Because you're in that culture.
Yeah, for sure, 100%. Because I was also in the trekking club. I was in the climbing club as well, in Polytechnic, and all of the friends, they were very supportive. Like when I asked them for donations, they would share. Either if they could, they would donate. If not, they would share that link with somebody else. So it was generally we managed to raise $15,000 for the first round.
Right.
Yeah, just for the Singapore Cancer Society.
Wow.
Yeah, so they were very supportive, and when I was about to depart to Nepal, there was a huge, I would say a party, but it was there was a lot of people, including Yushrina and Dr. Sarah.
Wow.
So quite interesting, yeah.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
So 2017 was your first attempt?
Yes, that's right.
And then how long did you have to wait until you went back?
So I was actually planning to go back in 2018, but then I got married in 2017.
Okay.
And
when you got back down?
Yeah, I got back down, and within the next like 3 months, I got a revelation. I was like, okay, I think it's time to get married. I got married like 4 months after Everest. And then I was planning to go back in 2018, and then we had a bit of a honeymoon, and then we decided to have another honeymoon trip. And so 2018 plans were delayed to 2019, and also it gave me a bit more time to search for sponsors, train a bit harder, train a bit more specifically for Everest, because I realized that my training I wouldn't say wasn't enough, but I think it wasn't specific enough to what I wanted to achieve at that final stretch from the South Summit to the summit.
Right.
Yeah. So.
Wow. And then you did it, 2019.
And then 2019 was the successful summit. I wouldn't say super successful because I had like injuries, so I had a bit of frostbite on my ears. So yeah.
But
yeah. Still summit.
Yeah, man, you can't say it's not quite successful.
Summit and come down. That's the most important, right? Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, obviously, just this week we heard about our fellow Singaporean.
That's right.
Who unfortunately, we assume the worst in these situations.
That's right.
It's just basically impossible to come back down in those situations, and so yeah, heartfelt feelings towards the family.
Same.
And so, how does that actually, while we're talking about, how does that impact you, knowing you've turned around, you've also made it? How has this week been for you, reflecting?
Yeah, I totally empathize with those guys who are there, the team members, the leaders who are running those trips. It's hard, man. It's really hard work, and the families here. Obviously, climbing Everest is not a small mountain, it's a big mountain, and there's a lot of risk involved, and the people who are guiding you, they don't work for you, they're just guiding, so they don't owe their life to save you, they're just working, right? So I think as much as we want them to go out there and help people and rescue people, I mean, they've also got their families to go back to, right? So
of course.
Yeah. So.
And in so many of these situations, for them to go back, it would be detrimental for themselves.
Yeah, exactly, because they're also relying on oxygen, and the oxygen it costs money as well, right?
Yeah.
And insurance, it requires insurance to go and rescue those people, because it's a lot of money. It's like 4 sherpas to rescue one person.
Yeah.
Because of the death zone, there's like big drops. You can't just it's not 1-to-1 kind of rescue, it's 4:1. Yeah, so definitely, I mean, looking back, it must have been hard. I think for me, it brings back a lot of memories, because I could have been one of those people, For sure. And one of my friends, when in my 2019 attempt, he didn't come back. In fact, he's still there. Yeah, so Donald Cash, unfortunately, he had a heart attack at the Hillary step. And then his 2 Sherpa guides tried to do CPR, couldn't get him back, and they had to leave him there. And I could hear all of it on the comms, on the radio comms, but I was really like below Camp 4.
Right.
Yeah, so I was really heading down, and it was like a lot of radio stuff, people talking, blah, blah, blah. So it was like, I mean, it brings back a lot of memories, and definitely it's a very sad ending for everybody else, who's involved in this thing. But we hope that it will all be well for them. Yeah.
For you as a dad now, 2 kids, how old are they?
4 and 2.
4 and 2.
Yeah.
How do you level that sense of danger, and this has real danger to your mountain trips?
Right.
And a clear percentage of people who don't come home. How do you level that, knowing that you've got your kids at home, your wife at home?
Yeah, so for me, it's like whatever I do, right, is always 100% in whatever I do. Like, say for example, if I set a set time to climb a mountain, then I'm just going to like try my best to just focus 100% on that mountain. Just be safe, focus, concentrate on each step. don't be silly. You know, don't take shortcuts. You know, just do the proper stuff. Put in the hard work. When I'm training, I train. I don't think about too many stuff. I don't think about like, oh, my family's waiting. I need to do this. I need to do that. Then when I'm with my family, and it's family time, it's just family time.
Yeah.
So that when I get on those trips, I know that, oh, okay, I've already put aside time for those.
Yeah.
And that's done.
Yeah.
Like no regrets, right?
Sure.
Yeah. So I think that's very important, especially when I go into those trips, especially the upcoming one. It's like 1 month away, as in like in total duration is 1 month away from the kids, right, and the family. So it's like,
and often you're off grid, like you're not on, you can't FaceTime.
Yeah, exactly. Denali is like you get the updates from the website, and they will send dispatches to that company, and then they will dispatch it on the website.
Wow.
And we have not much data. We don't have any communications for the client side. So pretty much we're just out there.
Right.
Yeah.
Just a few days' time, you're off to Denali, you just mentioned.
Yeah.
Talk to us about that trip, if you can. That'd be great.
So Denali is the highest mountain in North America.
Yeah.
It's also one of the 7 summits, which
Okay.
is basically my project, which I'm on for 2 years. It's called the Singaporean 7 Summits, 2022 to 2025, and I've got 4 more to go. I've got Denali, Aconcagua in South America. I got Vincent in Antarctica, and Elbrus in Russia.
Wow.
In Europe.
Yeah.
So these are the last 4. I had a failed attempt on Aconcagua, 2 failed attempts. The last one was just recently in January.
Okay.
Very close to the summit, decided to turn around.
Okay.
So Denali will be a big trip. And I aim to complete it in about 2 to 3 years. But funding is tough. You know, it's definitely hard to get like, you know, that amount of money to go. You know, Denali is like, you know, $17,000, you know, dollars.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's quite expensive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For those of you viewers who don't know about the 7 summits, it is the highest mountain in each of the continents.
That's right.
Around the world. And Jeremy's already done 3, so Everest.
Right. Everest, Kilimanjaro, and Kosciuszko in Australia.
Oh my goodness. Say that again, where is it?
Kosciuszko.
Kosciuszko.
Mount Cozy. They call it Mount Cozy in Australia. Yeah.
And I understand that there is a different set of 7. Some
That's right.
debate over which one the real 7 is. So
Yes.
why is there a debate?
Yeah, the 2 lists. One is, I think, is the best list, the guy who first climbed the 7 summits. So his list is just like, you know, Australia is part of the Indonesian plate, you know. So then they count Cozy as part of that one. So he climbed that 7. And then I think Reinhold Messner, one of the famous mountaineers from Italy, and he climbed all the 14 8,000 meter peaks without oxygen. A famous fella, he's still alive now. And he climbed another one which is just in Indonesia, and that's Puncak Jaya, or Kartins Pyramid.
Yeah,
Kartins Pyramid. So that's another list. Yeah, so people do 2 lists, but if you want to complete the 7 summits, the real one, then you do like 8 of the 7 summits.
Okay.
You do that, you do Puncak Jaya and Cozy. Yeah.
So to complete the 7 summits, you have to do 8 summits.
10. If you want to complete the full one, if you want no arguments.
Right.
Yes.
Is that what you're going to go for?
If I can get extra support for the last one, which is Puncak Jaya, I'll do it. But if not, then I think that's okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, that's amazing. It's very, very exciting. And you just leave in a few days, right?
I'll be leaving in actually I'm going to climb Kinabalu first. So
Okay.
I'm going to go to Kinabalu on the 9th of June. I'll climb that. I'll fly back to Singapore, and then the next day I fly off to Alaska.
Wow.
Yeah, so that's on the 13th of June. So so it's pretty much back to back.
Yep.
I'm going to Kinabalu for acclimatization.
Yep.
And then so that will help me for Denali, pretty
Amazing.
much.
Amazing.
Yeah.
You just talked about acclimatization, and obviously Singapore's not ideal for that, being very, very low lying. How do you
Right.
train when you're here at home?
Yeah, so as we mentioned earlier, I grew up in the Highlands. I live in Woodlands, you know,
Nice.
just down the road, right? So when I was younger, I used to climb lots of stairs, you know, with a heavy backpack, like, you know, 15, 17 kilograms. And to simulate, like, you know, the crampons and the boots, I usually wear ankle weights.
Wow.
Like 2 kilogram ankle weights, and up and down the stairs multiple times.
Wow.
And yeah, we do lots of that. It's very boring, but yeah, it works. And then do lots of cardio runs as well, long distance runs, because it's not about how fast and how much power you have, but how long you can
go
last.
for,
yeah. So that's how mountaineers train. We train for long. Yeah.
I tried. I'm trying to think what year it was. I think it was 2020 in the December. I tried to walk around the whole island of Singapore without stopping in one go. It was probably the least wise idea I've ever had. I thought, I've done 10k runs. I'm okay. I'll probably be all right. And at 76 kilometers, I was like, no, this is too much. I can't do it. So,
yeah.
And huge blisters in my feet and everything like that. So, yeah, I think I would love to be able to do that whole trip, but it's a long one.
It's a big one, yeah. It's almost like similar to the military, what we do in the military, the long walks.
Yeah, well, I didn't do NS, so maybe that's in me. I just feel like I need to serve. I need to do this to make sure that
I think you're commando then, because you've done the long walk.
Yeah, right. And I had a heavy. I carried all the camera gear as well.
Wow.
So, yeah, there you go. Those of you who don't like the fact that I haven't served.
It's okay. We do our own ways, right?
Yeah,
our
exactly,
own means. Yeah.
Exactly. So you've got this trip coming up this year. Is the next one also in 22?
So, ideally, I'm planning for December to go to Vincent, Vincent Massive in Antarctica, but that's like $60,000 away.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to link up with a few people that I know. Or if you guys know anybody, you guys can help me out as well. That'll be great. Sure. Yeah. So that will be in the plans. And then in July next year, I go to Elbrus, and then next year, the end of the year, I will go to Aconcagua. Wow. So it's just 4 trips back to back, hopefully.
And Aconcagua, you've done how many times did you say? You've
Twice. 2 attempts. Yeah.
Okay. Do you know what? I'm very, very encouraged by the fact that you've turned around twice. That tells me that you'll do this and you'll do it safely. You'll come home. Do you feel like, is there a huge mental hurdle that you'll need to overcome to be able to reach the top?
Yeah, I mean, I've turned around a lot of times. I think I have the most number of turnarounds in Singapore history. I think a lot of Singaporeans, you see, wow, success, right? But you don't see the back of it, right? Like that below the iceberg and all that stuff. So for me, it's when I decide to turn around is a few factors, right? It's circumstance. It's like sometimes it's just not your day. Right. It could be the weather. Sometimes it's great weather, but your body is just not feeling it. You know, like on Aconcagua, the recent one, I was the trip leader. I was the expedition leader. I had like 3 clients, and one of my clients was sick at the start, so we sent him home. Another one was, 2 of them were perfect for the summit. We went for the summit together, and then on the way to the summit, one of them turned around. So then the guide had to go back with the person, with Paul, and then we had Justly going with me to the summit, like without the guide, because I knew the way. So I was leading, and he was also leading at some point. And then at a certain point, I was like, okay, just below the cave, there was just like the sun had rose, but then I was like, I wasn't feeling. I was getting cold as well. Yeah. And then at one point, I like vomited like 4 times, like just on the spot. Right. So then I was like, okay, I think this is almost it. Like I've almost like all my energy is depleted. When I reached the cave, I was like, oh, that's too much, man. Right. And I told Justly, you can go for it. You go with the guide. By the time the guy had catched up with us, and I was like, okay, Justly, you can just go for it, man. Amazing. And I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna sit here and wait for you. And I'll just enjoy my time here, eat some snacks. Yeah, because it's not every day. It's not every day is your day, right? Right. Yeah, you got to just sometimes just relax and
that really takes some humility and a real self-understanding. Like you know how you feel. Yeah. And a very, very clear mind.
Yeah.
Where do you think you get that from?
So I think it's been the many years of climbing, and also like watching, like it's just like a lot of my climbing idols, or people who I really love and I've watched on TV, they've all died. Right. Yeah, like Uli Stack, Swiss machine. We know him as the Swiss machine. I met him in 2017 on Everest. He passed by me and we shook hands, and the next thing we know, he's dead. Yeah. And then we've got like lots of one of my friends, Ing Wu, who died in New Zealand, fallen down from Mount Aspiring. Like that hit a lot of, hit my heart quite a lot. And so like just when I think about the people who have gone before me, and I think about, is this like, okay, I'm going to do this, but once again I want to come back again. I mean, I don't want to. I want to make sure that I can continue doing this for a lifetime.
Yeah.
And this is like, this is just one mountain, right?
Yeah.
I can always come back. Or if I choose not to come back, then it's just something that is going to be empty in my heart, right? It's okay. So ultimately, it's what I want, and that is to, like, when I get older, I want to be a grandfather, and I want to tell, like, this kind of stories to my kids, and my grandchildren, and say, oh, grandfather has done this, done that, and they'll be like, wow, my grandpa is crazy.
Yeah, that's amazing.
So I want to be that granddad. I don't want to be the granddad that's already, like, dead. Yeah. So.
Yeah, be the living legend.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah.
What would you tell? I mean, you talk about sharing the story with your kids and your kids' kids.
Yeah.
I'd love you to share the story with my kids. Like my son climbed his first mountain for his 6th birthday. His request, he didn't ask for any toys. He asked for a real mountain. So we took him in the UK 860 meters, and then a few months later he wanted to hit his first 1,000. So we did a 1,000-meter mountain, age 6. Then we've had COVID and whatnot, and we've been here where there's not many mountains. But what would you say to young kids who are aspiring mountaineers?
Right. Number one, dream big. I've always told a lot of the students in my school, UWC, like, sometimes if you got a dream, and you got a mountain dream or whatever dream you have, sometimes you cannot ask for permission. You got to just go for it, If you ask for permission, you're asking people to say no to your dreams.
Right.
Yeah, that's one. Another one is, opportunities only come once. I mean, summit day is summit day, but if there's an opportunity, go for it. Don't waste it. Just grab it. And and the last one is, like, I think just be the hardest worker in the room, but also be the most humblest person. Like, just work hard, put in the hard work, commit to it, but then be humble. Yeah. Just be humble. Just be yourself. You don't have to brag about it.
Yeah. I love that.
Yeah.
And I love the fact that you're very, very normal.
Yeah, I'm just a normal. I'm wearing slippers and heartlands.
Normal guy who's climbed the tallest mountain. Actually, my son would argue that it's not the tallest mountain because there's
not Hawaii, right?
Underground.
Yes.
Have you ever thought about going underwater and then making your way up to the top?
I would need to do my diving set first. I don't have my diving set.
Well, I think you're totally inspiring. I'm so grateful to be able to have this time with you. I love the fact that your students at school will be able to see you as just a normal, humble human being who loves life predominantly, and part of that love of life is climbing. That's awesome. It's awesome. Thank you for your time. If any of you out there are watching and think, I've got money, or my company could sponsor Jeremy, please reach out to me. I'm happy to pass on any information, and let's see Jeremy hit those 7 summits, or the 8.
Hopefully, crossing fingers.
And I'll make sure that I blog and update people with your journey.
Yes, please. Okay. Thank you very much.
Let everyone know what's going on. So those of you who are excited about what Jeremy's up to, definitely stay up to date with that. And hopefully, maybe we'll have another conversation in the months or years to come, and talk about the successes of your adventures. That would be amazing.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for watching. As always, please like and subscribe. As this channel grows, I'll be able to do many, many more of these. For me, I call them my passion projects. I'm also a teacher, but I love to be able to share these stories, and the more support I get from YouTube, the more I can do this, and so all the help is appreciated, and we'll see you next time.